Please rise for the sounding of the shofar, the call to be together. Tekiah, Shevarim, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah, You may not applaud during Rosh Hashanah, but now it's okay to applaud for the shofar blowers. Please be seated. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im. We know the words so well. How good it is to be together. How wonderful it is to be together and feel the blessing of brotherhood and sisterhood, of being community. Hine ma tov. President of Bet Shira Congregation, Lori Blum.
Boker Tov and Chag Sameach, everyone. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome you all to the installation ceremony for our new rabbi, Rabbi Mark Kula. I'd especially like to welcome the mayor of our Pinecrest community, Mayor Cindy Lerner, and the many rabbis, cantors, and educators who are colleagues of Rabbi Kula's and who have come especially to join in our celebration. You might think that there was a touch of insanity in the planning of this installation during Sukkot, right on the heels of the high holidays. And actually, there was. Just a touch. But the truth is, the choice of Sukkot for the installation was purposeful and deliberate. Sukkot is known as Zman Simchatenu, the time of our rejoicing. And what better time for rejoicing than when we come together as a community to celebrate the formal installation of our new and already much beloved rabbi. Rabbi Kula is always encouraging us to look for layers of meaning. And this Sukkot is truly a Zman Simchatenu, a time to rejoice. To begin our morning, I'd like to ask Mayor Cindy Lerner to please join me on the bima as we sing the national anthem.
Please be seated. The Honorable Mayor Cindy Lerner.
Good morning, Shana Tova, and Mazel Tov to the entire congregation and to our entire community for welcoming into a new leadership position, Rabbi Mark Kula. I have a proclamation to read on behalf of the Village Council and the Village of Pinecrest. A brief statement right before I do about leadership. This is a congregation full of community leaders, full of engaged and vibrant residents of our community, Pinecrest and beyond. And what you've seen today, an example for the congregation of stepping up to leadership. I ask each and every one of you to consider doing the same. Our community is desperate for strong leadership, and there's much of it here in this congregation. Your rabbi has shown an example of what can happen when you do step up. So if you've never been asked before, I am asking you. If you've been asked and you haven't thought seriously enough about it, start thinking. Now, on behalf of the Village of Pinecrest, I'd like to share our proclamation. Whereas Rabbi Mark Kula has served for 23 years as cantor of Bet Shirah congregation in Pinecrest, whereas Rabbi Mark Kula received Semicha ordination this year from the Rabbinical Academy, while simultaneously serving as cantor, and whereas Rabbi Mark Kula has earned distinction in the areas of education and programming, which has cultivated cultural, intellectual, and spiritual Judaism while building a sense of community, whereas Rabbi Mark Kula's role as a spiritual leader involves leadership in community activities, connecting to Israel, facilitating tikkun olam, raising awareness of social justice, and enlightening students of all ages about the wisdom of Judaism. And whereas the Bet Shirah congregation will celebrate the installation of Rabbi Mark Kula as their spiritual leader at a community celebration on September 22nd, 2013. Now, therefore, I, Cindy Lerner, Mayor of the Village of Pinecrest, on behalf of the Village Council and its citizens, do hereby proclaim Sunday, September 22nd, 2013, as Rabbi Mark H. Kula Day. Mazel tov.
Thank you to the village and thank you to Mayor Lerner. I'm truly honored. Mel Mann.
Good morning. It's a great honor for me to participate in today's program. Over the past 10 years, I've been privileged to serve as ritual vice president, working closely with Rabbi Kula. I can tell you firsthand how special he truly is. One of those things that make our new rabbi so special has been his involvement in the Jewish community. Since his arrival to Miami, his dedication to serving the community outside the walls of Bet Shirah has been exemplary. In 1999, my wife and I were privileged to serve as bus captains on a Jewish Federation mission. Cantor Kula was one of the clergy on this trip. Now, this is one thing that he may not remember, but I'll remind him. He diligently tutored 54 B'nai Mitzvah from around the county for their bar mitzvah portions, including our son. It was an unforgettable trip, but what made it so amazing was his unselfish dedication to everyone outside the walls of Bet Shirah. Years later, Rabbi Kula stepped up to support one of the most powerful educational experiences for both our youth and our adults, the March of the Living. In 2006, Rabbi Kula stepped forward and put in countless hours serving as a bus captain, a clergy, and an educator. I can personally attest that our bus tasted every ice cream in the country of Israel. Then again in 2012, Rabbi Kula was a bus captain, an educator, and a clergy. His teachings and his wisdom that he has shared with our students has shaped and molded their lives. The lessons of the Shoah and the love for Eretz Yisrael that he has taught our students during the March of the Living is priceless. But above all, Rabbi Mark Kula is a mensch. He serves our congregation faithfully and has shown great dedication to the March of the Living program and other Jewish and non-Jewish community programs. On behalf of the Leo Martin March of the Living, we salute Rabbi Mark Kula for all that he has done. We as a synagogue and the entire Miami Jewish community are blessed to have you as our rabbi. Mazel tov on becoming the new rabbi of Bet Shirah. May you be blessed to go from strength to strength in all of your future endeavors.
Thank you. And one of the aspects that's precious about March of the Living is the training and the teaching of of youngsters, and we're going to invite our children to come up to the bima. And miraculously, they're going to stand here and sing a song.
So, Rabbi Kula, we have a presentation for you, so if you would like to come forward. So we have all the kids signing up their names with the fingerprint. And then we have the older kids, and they want to read some of the cards for you. Go ahead. Who's reading? Loud so everybody can hear. Okay. Now everybody can hear.
Congratulations, Rabbi Kula. Bet you all could not ask for a better rabbi. The Singer family wishes you a mazel tov, and to Rabbi Kula, congrats. Congrats to you and your wife. We wish you a great new year.
Rabbi Kula, could you please come over here?
You know, the interesting thing about being a rabbi, everyone tells you what to do.
Well, from the ECC, we are presenting you with this is fingerprints from the children for the Tree of Life, and it is a symbol, I would say, I was thinking about this, that the planting of the seed of Judaism that we start over at the ECC, and that you carry forward every day that you walk in the hallways, down this hallway, where these children is planting the seed of Judaism within our children. On a side note, I've known you many, many years. I'm one of those 3 generational people with my mother, my parents being founders, and it has been the most joyous feeling to have you in my life. From my confirmation to my marriage to my 3 children walking in the hallways. So I thank you, and you've been a spiritual leader my entire life, and I appreciate it. So, but on behalf of the ECC and Judy and Miss Rini and Miss Ariel and everybody over at the ECC, we thank you for planting the seed of Judaism within each of our children.
Thank you.
Shalom. שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו, מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו בזמן הזה. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו, מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום, שלום, שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום, שלום, שלום עליכם.
Good job, guys. Thank you. And thank you, Cantor Kidron. Anyone have any Purell? So. So, children's stage left, Rabbi Auerbach stage right. You know what they say about following children? You have to be really, really good. Rabbi Auerbach.
Ashreinu, Ma Tov Chalkenu. How fortunate are we? How precious is our portion? It was my privilege to work as part of the clergy team of Bet Shirah with Mark Kula for 15 years. Most of the creative ideas came from him. The truth is, he made me look good. And since I couldn't sing, I couldn't help him. We used to do everything together in terms of our service to Bet Shirah and to the community. For instance, whenever we had an event outside of the synagogue, we would always drive together. And we wanted to share this driving experience. So I had a suggestion. I'll drive anywhere within the community. Anything beyond the community, you'll drive. He accepted it. What more can you ask for? Well, one day we had visited a patient in Baptist Hospital. And we were on the way back, and it was time for the dismissal at Palmetto Senior High School. Now, I want to assure Mayor Lerner that this happened before the incorporation of the village of Pinecrest. Well, it's 15 miles an hour, and I think I had only gotten down to 18. I'm driving. Both of us are sitting wearing shirts and ties and no jacket. Police officer comes over, said you were speeding in a school zone, writes me a ticket. The fact that while he was writing me a ticket, somebody sped by at 40 miles an hour, and I pointed it out to him, he said, I can only handle one customer at the time. So we're going to go to court. And my attorney says, you must make sure that you bring Mark Kula with you. And make sure that he is wearing just a shirt and a tie, but you wear a suit. And when the case is called, the three of us will come up together. You'll stand on one side of Cantor, that time Cantor Kula. I will stand on the other side, and Mark Kula will stand in the center. The officer begins to read from his notes, citing the offense, at which point my attorney said, would you please point out the defendant? He pointed to Mark Kula. The judge said, I've heard enough, case dismissed. There is nothing that I found out during those wonderful 15 years that Mark Kula could not do. When I went on vacation, he filled in for me. When I was unable to teach a class, he taught it for me. And one of the things I learned was that he possessed all of the skills necessary to be a rabbi. And I can't tell you what a great pride it is for me that he is now the rabbi of Bet Congregation. I want to put this in a particular context. As Lori Blum, our president, mentioned, we are in the middle of Sukkot. And it's true that this is Man Simchatenu, the time of our great rejoicing. But actually, there is also a biblical precedent for holding this installation during Sukkot. When Solomon built the temple in Jerusalem, the dedication was held on Sukkot. And as all the people gathered for the dedication, Solomon began by saying the following: My father David founded the United Kingdom of Israel and brought the Ark of the Covenant and the tent of meeting to Jerusalem, declared Jerusalem to be Israel's capital, and then said to God, it is my desire to build a great house in your honor in order to place the Ark of the Covenant, which had the tablets of the Ten Commandments, and the oil moed, in which it was contained, and from which God imparted to Moses all of the mitzvot of the Torah. And Solomon went on, God said, I think that's a very good idea. Your intention is correct, but you will not be the one to build the temple. The temple will be built by your son Solomon. Why? Because one generation is never enough to complete the greatness, the promise, the fulfillment that is to be fulfilled in the next generation. Why did God choose Solomon? Solomon was known for there are 3 books in the Tanakh that were written either by Solomon or during the time Solomon was king. One was the book of Proverbs. You're all familiar with that. Shows wisdom. One is Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, which shows the relationship between people and the loving relationship between God and Israel. And the third, Kohelet, which we read yesterday as part of our service, are the wisdom and teachings of life of a philosopher and teacher. How do we understand the meaning of life? So Solomon possessed a great gift. And for those of you who know your biblical history, you know that at the beginning of Solomon's reign, God said to him, ask of me any gift, and I will give it to you. And if you read the English translation, it says that Solomon asked for wisdom, and that was the gift he was given. But if you read the Hebrew original says, Lev Shamea, which means literally a listening heart. Now, you know how important listening is in Judaism. Rabbi Kula gave a magnificent sermon about that on Kol Nidre night. The truth is that great leadership is the leadership that listens, that has a listening heart. And for the 20 years that I have known Mark Kula, he has always possessed this great gift, the gift of a listening heart. And he is indeed worthy to be the rabbi of Bet Shirah congregation. I am really so very, very proud of him. I honestly feel like he is one of my own children. There are 25 years difference between us. So it could have been possible, but Morton and Charlotte Kula, his wonderful parents, got there before me. I want to close with a very small presentation to Cantor Kula. Would you please come forward? Cantor Kula, Rabbi Kula.
So quickly,
Now, I hope you appreciate the value of this gift. I have doesn't want to come off.
Does it come with directions?
No, but the parts move. I will no longer be needing this. Perhaps it will become useful for you. Perhaps it will become useful to you in leading Bet Shirah in this next generation, moving forward with tradition, L'dor Vador.
Thank you, Rabbi Auerbach. You are ensuring that L'dor Vador happens. So much of this is about learning and growing. A famous Yiddish song about the teacher and the student, Eufen Pripacek.
Eufen Pripacek brennt a Feuerl und in Stubis heiß und der Rebbe lernt kleine Kinderlech dem Aleph Beis und der Rebbe lernt kleine Kinderlech dem Aleph Beis. Tschetsche Kinderlech, gedenkt che Teiere, was ihr lernen do. Sagt che noch einmal und Tage noch einmal, kommet alle vor. Sagt che noch einmal und Tage noch einmal, kommet alle vor. Lernt Kinderlech mit groß Cheshek, azoi sag ich euch on. Wir's wird besser von euch kennen Ifri, der bekommt davon. Wir's wird besser von euch kennen Ifri, der bekommt davon. Als ihr wird kinderlech älter werden, wird ihr alleine verstehen, wie viel in die Äußjes liegen Tränen und wie viel Gewinn. Wie viel in die Äußjes liegen Tränen und wie viel Gewinn. Setsche Kinderlech, gedenkt che Teiere, was ihr lernen do. Sagt che noch einmal und Tage noch einmal, kommet alle vor. Sagt che noch einmal und Tage noch einmal, kommet alle vor.
Immediate past president of Bet Shira, Joseph Sirota.
In order to know and understand our Rabbi Mark Kula, you need to know where it comes from. He is one of 6 brothers, all sons of Cantor Morton and Charlotte Kula. Now, I'm a father of 3 very normal, boisterous boys, and I can't imagine what it would be like growing up in a house with 6 boys. So when I asked Rabbi if all of his brothers were going to be here this morning, he said yes, and I hope they all behave. He mentioned that unfortunately their mom and dad are no longer here to keep them in line. Well, I can't speak for the rest of them, but I do know that there is at least one of the brothers who must behave himself because he's a fellow rabbi and actually a national figure, and that is Rabbi Erwin Kula. Now, perhaps it was sibling rivalry or just profound respect for their parents, but the Kula brothers have turned out to be an extraordinary group of men, and I imagine that Rabbi Erwin Kula, the oldest, is now charged with the additional responsibility to keep them in line. So let me tell you something about Erwin Kula. He's a graduate of Columbia University, like his brother Mark. He holds 2 degrees from the Jewish Theological Seminary. He's an author, a playwright, a blogger on the Huffington Post and Washington Post, a frequent guest on many popular TV talk shows. He hosted a 13-part public TV series called Simple Wisdom with Erwin Kula. He's a teacher, a commentator, and a Jewish scholar. He's co-founder of the Wisdom Daily, which is a website to help people address the challenges in their daily life. He was also listed by Newsweek as the 7th most influential rabbi in America. So Rabbi Kula, you may just have to work a little bit harder in the coming years in order to keep that rating, because your little brother will be competing for such distinctions in the near future. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce Rabbi Erwin Kula.
So as you can tell, I already underdressed. I figured it was Miami, you know, it's warm here, and so I get on, and my brother is wearing the tie and suit. So I guess I'm ceding some authority immediately. So I've had a lot of occasion to speak here at Bet Shirah, and there's a lot of people I know in this room, and we go back a long way. And so I'm obviously incredibly honored to be here. And all my brothers are here. They're all over there. And of course, my parents would have been sitting right there, although I guess starting today, they'd be sitting over here. But more than anything, I am really, really, really humbled and incredibly grateful to be Mark's older brother, to be Rabbi Mark Kula's older brother. Yesterday I was in shul here, and we were in the Kiddush, and I would hear probably a half a dozen times I heard Rabbi Kula, and I would turn around. And it wasn't for me. And there would be my brother doing actually what he's been doing for the last 23, 24 years here, engaging people and listening to people and comforting people and taking care of people and teaching and uplifting and elevating and laughing and making people feel better. Being incredibly present is what he's been doing for the last 23 years. And now it expands and deepens into another, in another way. You know, he could have easily, how old are you? 50? 50. He could have easily settled. His incredible talent as a cantor, national leader as a cantor. He could have easily stopped there. Instead, over the last 5 or 6 years, what he's done is he's worked very, very hard to expand his capacity, to expand his ability, and to become not only an expert in the musical tradition, but to become an expert in Torah. And now he brings those two things together. And what I'm here to do is to install him as the rabbi. But you know, there's no such thing as installing a rabbi in the Jewish tradition. It's an American invention. We install plumbing. We install kitchen cabinets, which is fixing things in place. But what teachers of Torah do, and what Mark has done and will continue to do is to actually move things along, or as you have here, moving forward. So I'm not installing. In fact, what happens is the way a rabbi becomes a rabbi, first he gets smicha because he's learned enough, but then there are two choices made, and those are the choices that we celebrate today. One choice is a community of people chooses someone to become their rabbi, which means they choose to follow. And yes, follow in the way the Jewish people follow, stiff-necked and all that, but follow and learn from. And then the rabbi, who's the rabbi, when we get smicha, when we get ordained, we're called, the titled rabbis of the house and people of Israel. And then we, unlike other traditions, choose the community we want to serve. And in that mutual and reciprocal choice of leader and follower and leader, in that choice emerges a set of responsibilities and obligations between people. We're celebrating that choice. And I think actually, I know, you made a good choice. No, I really mean it. And I know that Mark made a good choice. And all you have to do is to feel the energy and feel the mood in the room today. We've been here at Rosh Hashanah, we've been here at Kol Nidre, we've been here Yom Kippur, Ne'ilah. We're going to be here yet at the end of the week on Simchat Torah, Shmini Atzeret, and look how many people are here. And look at the energy. So we're celebrating the choice of you deciding, yes, you are going to follow, and he, because what Jewish leadership really is, and he is going to serve. Even Moshe Rabbeinu is called the Misharet. He's called a servant. And there's that type of leadership, servant leadership, which is what Mark has done here for 24 years. He's taken care of people. He's worried about people. He's been involved in people's lives. And so on top of the choosing, you're also doing something incredibly unique. Usually when a rabbi chooses a congregation and the congregation chooses a rabbi, they don't know each other. They really don't know each other. And there's a honeymoon period. And people begin to learn about each other. They learn their predispositions. A congregation learns a rabbi's biography and learns a little bit about his weaknesses and a lot about, hopefully, his strengths. A rabbi learns about a congregation's culture and tone and way and capacities and abilities. And they grow together. And here what we have is something unique because you have chosen each other after knowing each other. That is so much deeper. To choose after knowing each other. And that's why you will move forward together. And why did you choose? And why did he choose you? So I know there's 1,000 reasons, but I want to suggest what's most unique of all. I think you chose him, and he chose you, because actually love is the central currency in the relationship between you and this congregation, between you and him, and he and this congregation. And that is a tremendous gift. That is a tremendous blessing. So I wish you mazel tov on your choice. And I wish you mazel tov on your choice. And here's the short piece of Torah. So it's Sukkot. I don't think it's an accident. I don't think it's an accident. Laurie's right that you chose to do this on Sukkot. And Sukkot's a very, very profound holiday. It's a 7-day full-body meditation on vulnerability and fragility. You go into the sukkah, you leave yourself open to the elements, and you ask yourself, given the truth about the fragility of life, that we all know, that things are unpredictable, things can turn around in a second, life can be great and then life can be over. It is so unbelievably fragile, life. Given that, what is the true nature of security? What's really make us secure? Is it our homes or our bank accounts or our status or our title or even, right, how we do our religion? Or even if we're good people, we could be good people and it's... So what really makes us secure? Sukkah tells us this. What makes us secure is friends and family coming together, eating together, taking care of each other, dealing with the day-to-day gritty of the journey. You know, that 40 years the people of Israel were there, it was 43,000 meals, 14,600 days. You know how many cleaning up dishes, washing up, not highlight amazing peak experiences, but the day-to-day gritty burdens and blessings of the journey. And to do that together. And that's what sitting in the sukkah says. And what do you talk about in the sukkah? You talk about your past. You bring people from the past into your sukkah, and you look up into the stars, and you think about the future and the possibilities of that promised land, which, you're right, by definition, no one reaches the promised land. It's promised. And that's what Mark has known. That's the synagogue vision he always had. If the Messiah comes and you're teaching a child in shul, if the Messiah comes and you're leading a prayer in shul, if the Messiah comes and you're taking care of a Shiva minyan, if the Messiah comes and you're standing under the chuppah with a couple, or you're doing a baby naming, if the Messiah comes and you're talking to a 3-year-old or an 85-year-old, you're talking to someone with power or someone who doesn't have power, you're talking to someone wealthy in the shul or someone not wealthy in the shul, what Mark does is he doesn't follow the Messiah, he stays with the person. That's the kind of leadership we're going to need in the Jewish people in this next period. That's Sukkot. That's Rabbi Mark Kula. So if my parents were sitting right here, and I have to do this, and I want to do this, so what would my mother say? Yikes. What would my mother say? Who, you know, complicated person. First, she'd be crying. She'd be crying. Because she herself could have been a rabbi and would have been a rabbi in a different era. Actually, she thought she was the rabbi. But here's what she would say. Marky, you've accomplished something remarkable. Now go and do something. And remember, teach your best Torah always. Be really truthful with the people because they can handle it. Never talk down to them. They can handle the truth. And remember, it really isn't about God. It's about kindness and love for people. And if you're kind and you teach a Torah of love for people, then God will appear. And she loves you very much. And my father, what would he say? Well, he didn't talk that much, but in his quiet way, you know, he was probably the most educated cantor in the country, Jewishly in the Torah. So he'd feel immense pride. And I want to say something to you about what Daddy would say. And everyone has to listen really carefully. He would probably feel just a touch of loss
because what he shared with Mark of the music of our tradition and the joy of them both being a cantor was so profound that sometimes you watch them together, I would watch them together, and I would want to take a step back because it was holy ground, or a holy table where they were looking at music together, or singing something together. So there would be a bit of loss. And there is a bit of loss in the room here too, because for 23 years, he was the cantor. And he will always be a cantor. But in order for there to be gain, in order for there to be growth, my father knew there had to be loss. He left Europe in 1938, there was loss. And he'd be sitting here watching this community, Bet Shirah, and watching his sons and grandchildren. And he knows sometimes there's loss in order for there to be gain. And so he would say to you what God says to Joshua in the Haftorah we're going to read on Simchat Torah. Rak chazak ve'amatz. Be strong and courageous. You were beloved as a cantor, and now you're going to be beloved as a rabbi. And maybe you know something that we're going to have to learn for the future of Jewish leadership, that to be a great rabbi, my brother David taught me this yesterday, to be a great rabbi, maybe you're going to need to first be a great cantor. You know the Torah of the music, and now you'll be the teacher of the music of the Torah, with words and notes, with wisdom and melody. And Dad would smile. So my dear brother, Rabbi Mark Kula, I welcome you as a colleague to the greatest work one can have, to be a rabbi for the Jewish people and the larger community. I celebrate your choice to serve these great people, and I celebrate your choice, Beit Shirah, to follow my brother, Rabbi Mark Kula. And so, yes, I install you as Rabbi of Congregation Bet Shirah.
Thank you, Erwin. Rabbi Kula. They're good tears, don't worry, they're good tears. And we believe when we believe.
Many nights we prayed with no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to care. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will when you believe.
First of all, it's not my fault. 2 rabbis already spoke. Second, I was always honest with Rabbi Auerbach, and I would tell him when he did something wrong. You should have given me this sooner. And third, as a cantor, many times you would think, why is that rabbi speaking so much? I'll try and keep it shorter. Shalom. It's nice to see you. You're looking good today. Okay. Being a Jew is being grateful every day of life and recognizing the blessings that adorn each moment. Being Jewish is offering praise and thanking people and recognizing God's presence in all that is good. The Hebrew word Yehudi, meaning Jew, actually has as its root Hodah, which means praise and thank you. So first, I thank my family, my wonderful, talented, beautiful wife, Corrine, for her loving support. That's the only one you get to applaud for. To each of my brothers and their families, for their significant roles in my life, for being here now and always. To my colleagues and friends, I really praise you and thank you. Rabbi Auerbach, I thank you. And I praise you. I just want to say one other thing. Couldn't you have warned me about becoming a rabbi? Some people have asked me, so what's next? Cantor, rabbi? And I've answered, the back row. No, I'm really grateful, Rabbi Auerbach. David, thank you. My brother Erwin, the original Rabbi Kula, thank you for being here, for officiating today, for always being an advisor. You are a gadol, a sage of our era. The gifted pianist and accompanist Alan Mason. Alan and Robert, you are in my prayers. Avron Smolensky, you have a handle on the Torah. Get it? My professional Bet Shirah team, Dr. Judy Gampel, Lori Solomon, Dr. Ella Levy, and my newest colleague, Cantor Shiri Kidron. To you, Shiri, I look forward to rabbiing and cantoring. My office family, Becky, Eileen, and Eileen, you make what happens here possible. The rabbinic transition team at Bet Shirah, chaired by the past president, Michael Novak, you are my sounding board and keeping me on track. The installation committee, you are amazing to pull this off just days after Yom Kippur. Linda Trutman, I have to call out your name. You basically moved in here this week to Bet Shirah to make this installation happen. Thank you. The president of Bet Shirah, Lori Blum, our past president, Joseph Sirota, who as president led the process of my becoming rabbi at Bet Shirah, and of course, all the lay leadership and all the volunteers, I thank you. I thank those who I am not thanking by name. One realizes how important thank yous are when you leave someone out. No one's left out. Thank you all. Expressing gratitude feels good. Do it often. I am humbled by all of you being here today. And one of my sincerest prayers is that I always hold on to that humility in my serving as a rabbi. Wow, I got to tell you, with such a crowd, I'm almost speechless. My assumption of the rabbinate in general and becoming rabbi of Bet Shira in particular is reflective of my understanding of what it means to be Jewish. Ivri, another word for being Jewish, a Hebrew. Someone who understands how to over, how to cross borders, to like push the envelope, accept change, and adapt to life. That's being Jewish. Life is constantly changing, and our hope is that with the change, we are true to ourselves, we're committed to the journey, open to growing, leading to the best that we can be. Rabbinic ordination actually means smicha, hands-on. You are being handed over the tradition. From generation to generation, from parent to child, from teacher to student, from rabbi to congregant, receiving the tradition, embrace the message, and then follow in the footsteps, moving forward, pursuing a pathway into the future, inspired by Jewish wisdom. We can either leave that Torah inside the ark, or we can take it out. We can open the gates, carry the Torah around, learn its message, play with Judaism, and make it our own. That's what we do here at Bet Shira. We are committed to that way of living Jewishly. That's why Judaism is alive at Bet Shira and has so much potential in America. Turn in the direction of your heart. Turn in the direction of your heart. Now it's actually easier if you're driving south on US 1. There's a new signal at 120th Street. Turn left, the direction of your heart, and you'll find Bet Shira. A former member of Bet Shira shared with me, for several years they've been driving by. Whenever they drive by, they feel connected. They have rejoined, and they're part of our Bet Shira family because they turn towards Bet Shira. And when they come into this sacred home, they feel the blessing of Judaism. Let Bet Shira not merely be a place on a Google map, but let it be your personal GPS for Jewish life. I accept the charge. I accept the charge of being rabbi of Bet Shira congregation. I take on the responsibilities, O Malchut Shamayim, the burdens of heaven, the blessing of Judaism, feeling its purpose, and I will be all in Jewishly. I accept serving Bet Shira in the greater Jewish community. I accept the dedication of our ancestors, Abraham and Sarah, the involvement of Jacob and Leah and Rebecca and Rachel, the leadership of Moses, the wisdom of Solomon, the fortitude of Esther, the idealism of Isaiah, the faith of Job, the strength of Akiba, the integrity of Spinoza, the insight of Elijah, the fierceness of David, the passion of Deborah. I follow the best of the rabbis who have served this congregation, Brian Schuldenfrei and Micah Kaplan. I follow the legacy of our founding rabbi, Rabbi David Auerbach. And let's relive a recent highlight. When Rabbi Auerbach offered the benediction on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, over 100 children stood on the bima. Adon Olam was over. We were moving our talesim. Suddenly, everyone stood in silence. Rabbi Auerbach's resonating voice blessed us for a good new year. I know you did, and I did, feel that blessing. Most of all, I follow the lessons of my parents, Morton and Charlotte Kula, Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be a blessing. My brothers and I are the recipients of a clearly transmitted message of words, melodies, and deeds, and recognize the importance of living Jewishly. I accept my heritage and connect to all the generations before us, sending the deep connections for living a Jewish future. Let me share my agenda. And you are essential to this plan. To be caring and sharing, healing and comforting, learning and teaching, celebrating and laughing, charging and uplifting, shema'ing and responding, leading and following, connecting to Israel, community, and fostering relationships. And to continuing to be instrumental in elevating life cycle moments to sacred memories. These, I believe, are the qualities of being an effective rabbi. Together, though, engaging in Judaism, we will reach beyond who we are. Let's be all in on this Bet Shirah project. My brother David gave me a note and shared with the rest of my brothers one of the last handwritten notes that my father gave him. My father would write little notes, little blessings and prayers. And here's what's on here. Mitzvah gdola liot b'simcha tamid. It's a classic teaching for healing and a guiding principle of life. Here's the translation. It is a great mitzvah to be happy always, to find joy in life. That was a week before he passed away, 2 years ago this week. We are committed to filling Bet Shirah with joyfulness and blessing counting. Zeh hayom asar Adonai nagila v'nismecha bo. This is the day the Lord has made, and we rejoice. Here's my prayer. That the Makor HaChayim, the source of all life, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, source of holiness, be present for us always. Bless this community with all that is good. And let's say, Amen. Please have a seat. It's a privilege to have Jacob Solomon bring a Mazal Tov to this bima.
So I totally get it that I'm between the beautiful music of the Second Avenue Chorale and Cantor Kidron, Rabbi Orbach, Rabbi Kula, and lunch. So it's going to be briefer than usual. Rabbi Orbach, in addition to being our founding rabbi, you've been my teacher for decades, and I hope that you will continue to be in good health and full strength. You're privileged to learn from always. And it's an amazing treat to welcome and spend time with a very dear friend, a tremendous source of Jewish wisdom, inspiration for me and the entire Jewish world. Rabbi Erwin Kula, in my opinion, is really one of the true Gedolei Hador. He is one of the great rabbis of this generation, and it's an honor, an intimidating one, but an honor to have you on this bima and to be here with you. But for fellow Wikipedia users, for the purposes of disambiguation, from now on when I refer to Rabbi Kula, it will be in relation to our own teacher and singer of Israel, our friend Rabbi Mark H. Kula. Rav Kook, the first Ashkenazi rabbi of Palestine, often remarked that our role in Jews is to fulfill the vision that the old shall be renewed and the new shall be made holy. I can't think of a more apt description of the Torah that then Cantor, now Rabbi Kula, brings to his practice. As somebody who participates in the davening here at Bet Shirah, I know well how his innovation and desire to renew brings meaning to our lives as Jews. But I'm here ostensibly to represent the community, which is always a risky proposition, especially when you're talking about Jews, and to bring greetings from the Federation on behalf of the entire Jewish community. You know about his activities here. They've been rehearsed today, and we knew it already. But just a word in bullet point about how Rabbi Kula organized the first cantorial cabinet benefiting the UJA Federation system nationally, how he organized our cantors, right, Cantor Siegel, in terms of encouraging the cantors of this community to take an active role beyond the limits of their individual congregations. As you heard from Mel Mann, he's led Federation missions, he's a March of the Living educator and organizer, and I could go on, but we all know his creativity as a teacher, as a program developer, and as a davener. Just a word, though, about what I think he brings to this bima. Rabbi Kula brings a perspective on Judaism and what it means to be a serious Jew that's both deeply personal, but also global and transcendent in nature. I believe that the very best rabbinic leaders are the ones who can inspire us on an individual level, but who are also able to help us understand that we're connected in the very fabric of our being as Jews to the people and nation of Israel, to our Jewish family across the globe, and to Jewish souls across the millennia. He knows that we are connected both geographically and in time, in common purpose, in the mission statement of the Jewish people to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. That's Rabbi Kula's perspective, and it's a perspective that enlarges us and helps us develop a Jewish worldview that deepens us spiritually, and at the same time, it empowers us to have agency in our job to bring perfection to the world. It's so fitting that this installation is taking place during Zaman Simchasenu, because all of us at Bet Shirah know that the signal hallmark of Rabbi Kula is the joy that he brings to his practice. And just like we saw over the Yom Tovim, he not only brings joy to his practice, but he helps us to embrace our Judaism, our davening, our sense of the divine, and our role in bringing tikkun to the world. He makes us joyful in that pursuit as well. In the Musaf Amida we just read, and we'll read again in the festivals, we ask God to rebuild your land as of old and establish Jerusalem as in ancient days. V'harenu b'vinyano v'samchenu b'sikuno. Enable us to behold it rebuilt and to rejoice in its renewal. Rabbi Kula, in his work every single day, both inside and outside the four walls of Bet Shirah, is an active player in that process of rebuilding. More than that, though, he teaches us that for our efforts to be met with success, they have to be carried out in joy and with hearts gladdened to have the privilege of being involved in such a noble and holy enterprise. That's a lesson for today, and it's a lesson for the ages. And we are so grateful to have someone in our midst who lives and teaches it so effectively. Rabbi Kula, that one? On behalf of the Federation and on behalf of all the people who have benefited from your leadership in this community already, I wish you my heartfelt mazel tov and much success in this exciting new chapter in your life, in our Bet Shirah congregation, and in the community at large. May you go from strength to strength with all blessings for success and for joy every step along the way. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Jacob. You are a true spokesman for the community, and you always speak eloquently. I thank you. As the choir comes up for our tikva, I'm going to ask our president to come here and make a presentation right now as they're getting up in place.
So you stand here and pretend you're the bar mitzvah boy. Actually, before I begin, I want to recognize and acknowledge also sitting on our bima Neil Roth, our endowment chair. It's nice to have you, and Suzanne Roberts, our sisterhood president. So Rabbi Kula, there are a few pleasures in being the president of the congregation, and one of them most certainly is this opportunity to say a few words to our new rabbi on this historic occasion. Although whose idea it was that I needed to follow 3 great rabbis and Jacob Solomon, I have no idea. On a personal level, you and I have had a long connection. You've advised me spiritually, you've taught and inspired my 3 children, and I've had the occasion to advise you psychologically as well. I hope it's worked as well for you as it has for me. Actually, I really hope you know how thrilled and excited this congregation is for this event, and certainly to welcome your spiritual leadership. And if you didn't know, I just want you to take one moment and really look around the room. On behalf of the congregation, I'd like to present you with this Kiddush cup. Kiddush, as you well know, is the Jewish sanctification ritual. The ritual that brings holiness to the occasion. The Kiddush cup, then, is the vessel through which and into which the blessing comes. We are presenting you this cup because you bring holiness to us as a congregation through your teaching and your deeds and through your listening heart. And thus you are a vessel for our blessing. This particular Kiddush cup is special because it's an old cup, carefully polished and made new. It represents one of your special talents, moving forward with tradition, taking our old traditions, carefully polishing them, and making them new, creative, meaningful, and relevant. May you use this cup in good health, and may we celebrate many, many happy occasions together as a congregation. Mazal tov.
Please rise for Hatikva. try and get my brothers up here for motzi. Good luck. Let's go. We'll raise a cup of wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hakafen. Manischewitz tastes even more delicious. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam asher kishen mitzvot tzvanu al netilat yadayim. Amen. Kareem, you want to give us a? Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Shall everyone enjoy lunch?